Assalamu alaikum. Myself Tasmir Aruni. My presentation topic is a requirement engineering process for IoT system and trade studies. Those are the outlines for requirement engineering process. Introduction: why we need requirement engineering. Requirement engineering process for IoT activities of the process scope definition, activities of IoT system definition subprocess, and activities of IoT system requirements definition subprocess and conclusion. Before we go to the requirement engineering process, we need to know about what IoT is. Internet of Things, IoT, describes the network of physical objects. Here, things that are embedded with sensors, softwares, and other technologies. And the IoT applications are healthcare, environmental, smart cities, commercial, industrial, infrastructure. Requirement engineering. Requirement engineering is the process of defining, documenting, and maintaining the requirements. In requirement engineering process, there has requirement elicitation that helps to gather information and also include interviews, brainstorms, task analysis, etc. And requirement specification includes the functional as well as the non-functional requirements. The requirements verification and validation. Requirements verification ensures that the system correctly implements, and validation ensures that the system has been built is traceable to customer requirements. Lastly, requirement management. Requirement management is the process of analyzing, documenting, and tracking, etc. So why we need requirement engineering? We know that requirement engineering is the process of discovering, analyzing, documenting, and validating the requirements of the system. So there are 5 important activities of requirement engineering that helps to fulfill customer needs and customer requirements, and helps to gather information from users. That is feasibility study, requirements elicitation and analysis, requirements validation, requirements management. Requirement engineering process for IoT. Requirement engineering process for IoT system has 3 sub-processes. First one is project scope definition, IoT system definition, and IoT system requirements definition. Those sub-process has its own purpose and outcomes, which together fulfill the purpose and outcomes of the requirement engineering process for the IoT system. Activities of the process scope definition. The activities of the process scope definitions are: the problem or opportunity is identified, analyzed, and detailed. Stakeholders are identified and stakeholders' needs are defined. Stakeholders' needs are transformed into stakeholders' requirements goals, and stakeholders' requirements are validated. Here, at first, define the problem or opportunity, which involves the analysis of the problem or opportunity to understand the scope and the definition of its context and parameters. Identify potential stakeholders, that is, people who have an interest in the IoT system. Define a stakeholder needs mean, which include the identification of the context of use of the IoT systems. Analyze the problem opportunity. There is a sufficient understanding to evaluate if the construction of IoT system is feasible and describe, or if there is a need or more information. Here, if the system is not approved, then it will go to the first step, that again define the problem or opportunity. If it is approved, then it go to the detail the problem or opportunity. Detail the problem or opportunity means if the construction of the IoT system is approved, as the project, this activity is performed in order to produce a more detailed definition of the problem or opportunity. Then it transforms stakeholders' needs into stakeholder requirements, and after that, analyze the stakeholder requirements, and lastly, obtain explicit agreement about those requirements. Activities of IoT system definition subprocess. There IoT scenarios are defined, IoT system components and actions are identified, alternative arrangements composition is identified, and the preferred arrangements are selected. Here, firstly, propose an IoT solution based on stakeholder requirements and the detailed definition of the problem or opportunity. Then define IoT scenarios. IoT scenarios should be defined on narrative prompt to communicate the system's behavior in such a way that stakeholders from different areas and levels of knowledge could understand and contribute to the discussion. Then it will go to the identify the IoT system components and identify the IoT system actions. After that, it will go to identify alternative arrangement compositions. That is, IoT interaction arrangement represents the interaction flow among devices and other components. Then, if it is facing any problems, then it go to the identify alternative arrangement composition. And if it is not, then it in execution. Activities of IoT system requirements definition subsets. There, the device components are specified and verified. The software components are specified and verified. Use cases are described and verified. Traceability of a stakeholder requirements to IoT system requirements specification is developed. Here, at first, specify device components, then verify the specification of the device components. This activity aims to evaluate the specification of the device component of the IoT system. If they are facing problems, then it will go to the specified device components again, and if it is not, then it will go to the next step, that is describe use cases. Same as when we specify software components, then the verify the specification of software components. After that, if it is facing problem, then it will go to the first step, and if it is not, then it will go to the describe use cases. Describe use cases. This activity aims to produce a description of each scenario, which includes a detailed description of the system. And then it will verify use cases description, and if there are no problem in the system, then it will establish and maintain traceability and in the process. So the requirement engineering process for IoT system presents a new challenge to requirements engineering. There is a lack of symmetric approach to the development of IoT applications, and more specifically for IoT-based requirements engineering. To fill this gap, this paper presents the definition of a requirement engineering process for IoT system. The next topic is trade studies. The outlines are introduction, purpose of trade study methodology, and supports of trade study. A trade study is a study that identifies a preferred solution among list of qualified solutions. Trade study examines about cost, schedule, performance, weight, system configuration, and complexity. Sometimes there arise complexity when interfacing human to human or human to machine interaction. Trade studies examines all of those. Purpose of trade study. Trade study conducted among operational capabilities, functional and performance requirements. It also concerned about design alternatives and their related manufacturing testing, support process, program schedule, and life cycle cost. Trade study methodology. Likelihood or severity of programmatic risk, objectivity and quantitative data use, detailed in available data, and time, effort, and money needed to conduct the trade study. Supports of trade study, alternative architecture analysis, requirement analysis, that is depends on customer requirements and customer needs, system analysis and controls. System analysis and controls belongs more tools, that is cost, schedule, traceability, and so on. Functional analysis looks for functional activities and allocations. Design synthesis is based on the customer requirements and then implement the design selected, and lastly selected preferred alternatives. That's all. Thank you.